I trained a text generation AI on my video essay scripts, then had it write an essay for me. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Manchester by the Sea is trying so hard to be cinematic and funny.
The ground is too hard. They'll bury him in the spring.
So what do they do with him until then?
Put him in a freezer.
Are you serious?
Yes.
But something about its writing and cinematography has me thinking back to at least some of the classic moments. Manchester by the Sea opens with the shot of a shot fired. A shot triggers all manner of emotions, a feeling of pride, a sense of belonging, that can be represented visually. It can be a hopeful reflection of the future, or an emotionally resonant cry for help. The opening of the first shot of a film is not just a meaningfully shot opening, it's also a meaningfully empty opening if you think about it. We're looking for an animal, and because the footage originally showed us an actual animal, we can expect to find one a whole page long. Building on previous plot elements, the title text actually starts with, "You know those days are never quite the same after a shoot. I can't go wrong." Our first clue as to when the video will open and close won't be an interesting one. Filmmaker Alejandro Inarritu has stated that his goal with his film is to open a cinema in the moment, not to depict what's happening. While the opening of a film can help open your eyes and possibly help explain something, Inarritu left open the potential of what will become of the mistakes made in the first place. With so much cinema happening in so many different forms, it's difficult to catalog everything that's happening in each form in one place. With so many different styles available, there's always the chance that something unique might be good fits for a particular style. Something interesting could be at the heart of the style. With more and more filmmakers considering a film in the field, the desire to produce an original visual style emerges into the filmmaking world. With the explosion of screens, digital cameras, and the distribution business, many filmmakers now realize that creating an interesting and unique look is no easy task. With so many different types of content available online in a variety of forms, it's not uncommon to find something that appears on the look side alone, or maybe on the brand's brand name only. With so many different types of effects represented in film, it's easy to understand why different looks are needed to make an effect. The cameras are there to capture the action, and the effects are on the actor protagonist as they would react to the world, not the camera as the character. Besides design, the 360-degree crop field used on effects involves a bit of a quirk. The camera doesn't always catch the movement of the character, but the illusion that they're looking at the same thing gives the effect a more cinematic look. Futurama. Futurama was one of my favorite shows all year. For one, the production was awash in personality, from the hilarious sketches to the serious character development, and for being an interesting time capsule. It's also one of the few shows that gives you access to a ton of character development material, which may seem like a long shot, but it pays off. The spin-offs add more depth to the story. Pricing and availability are a little weird in Futurama, but most shows give you little details you don't need to know to get a good experience. Particular packaging might be a good idea, but it's not what Futurama is. The premise of Futurama is simple. If you go to the internet and post amazing things, what you get is retcons of amazing things that you can link to and watch on your phone. If you want to watch everything, you have to try it out, right? Not so with Futurama. Premium membership is easy. Premium membership goes for anywhere from $10 to $99 a month. That being said, if you're already a subscriber, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial if you want something different. Just go to www.futurama.com or text 4 to 20 to sign up for a month for $10 off your first purchase. So that was the essay written entirely by the AI. I want to talk a little bit about how I trained it, the AI I used, and share some other funny little samples that it generated. I trained on a smaller version of an AI called GPT-2 that was released earlier this year and was developed by OpenAI. Basically, the AI takes a word and predicts what words should come after that, but it uses machine learning to get better and better at predicting what kinds of words a human would write to assemble larger sentences and things like that. So you can feed it a data set of a type of writing or text information, and it will learn to speak in that style and get better and better the more you train it. I trained it originally on my scripts from my video essays, but I also tried training it on a bunch of other things like passages from the Bible, Infinite Jest, the Tao Te Ching. It's very good at mimicking a style, but it doesn't create anything that actually means anything because it doesn't understand meaning. And you can see that in the video essay it generated for me. If you just had that playing in the background and weren't really paying attention to what it was saying, it sounds like something I could have or would have written, but it's just completely devoid of any like substance. And that was true of everything else I trained it on. It was able to write things that sounded like passages from the Bible or sounded like something David Foster Wallace might have written, but really it's like some sort of abstract dreamscape version of those things. Here's one of the early ones it generated off of my video essay dataset. Sometimes people laugh when they see people laughing. We often learn that in some situations, this is just an indication that something was well done. In this case, the audience was actually amused by the scene. This one I thought was funny. And here I think film par excellence is literally the state of the art of visual art. Philip Roth, John Coltrane, Wes Anderson, Steven Spielberg, and David Zuckerberg have both made things that very few filmmakers, and more than a few, are actually successful in. Their films are nothing short of seminal work that form the foundation for the broader industry, much like the fact that The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the soundtrack to some Oscar-nominated films. So you can see it like gets certain things right, like it's listing a list of names that it's saying are filmmakers, but then it doesn't know that John Coltrane isn't a filmmaker and that David Zuckerberg might be a person, but isn't a well-known person. You can also prompt it with a phrase or a word and see what it generates from that. I prompted it with Wes Anderson, and my favorite two were these. Director Wes Anderson's obsession with the look of shots has become a source of frustration for David Letterman. Wes Anderson and Denis Villeneuve are excited to be bringing you Alien Covenant in 2 episodes. Sometimes it would break and do sort of funny things, probably because of the way I format some of my scripts. Here are the character growth sheet. Here are the character development sheet. Here are the character growth sheet. Instrumental, instrumental, jubilation, 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 jubilation. And it just kept saying jubilation over and over again, which I thought was creepy. The other thought that this whole thing brought to mind was that sometimes I think we as humans creatively get stuck in a similar pattern to the way this type of AI is working, where we go to create something and we just sort of string together bits of things where we're like, oh, I know because of all the movies I've watched, all the books I've read, the sum total of everything I've consumed, I'm just going to replicate what usually comes after this input. So I have this word and then this word comes next. And that's very good for assembling sort of these things that look and sound like other great works. But when you really think about it or really drill down into it, there's no substance there. And I think people do that sometimes with movies where they take bits and pieces of inspiration from everywhere and they're able to assemble something that sort of has the skeleton of a Wes Anderson film or something like that. It mimics the style, but when you really look at it, the substance isn't there because the meaning behind that original style isn't being replicated. So I don't know what the takeaway is there, but I think that humans do this sometimes too, which is interesting. Finally, I want to thank NordVPN for sponsoring this video. NordVPN is an excellent VPN, and if you go to nordvpn.com/ThomasFlight, you can get 75% off when you sign up for 3 years. And if you use code ThomasFlight, you'll get an additional month for free. You might be wondering why you would need a VPN, and the simplest explanation is, are you at all concerned about your online privacy or security? If the answer is yes, you should have access to and use a VPN. A VPN can be critical when you're somewhere like China where there's a firewall. You can use a VPN to bypass the firewall and get around government censorship. We can see with things that are happening in Hong Kong right now, the VPN is very crucial to spreading information to the rest of the world and getting that information out there, getting access to information about what's really going on. Familiarizing yourself with how to use a VPN and having one around that you can use is a great thing to do. Go to nordvpn.com/ThomasFlight, get yourself signed up and get access to a VPN today so you can start protecting your privacy and securing yourself online. Thanks so much for watching. I know this was a slightly different video, but I hope everyone enjoyed it. I want to especially thank my Patreon supporters. You can go to patreon.com/ThomasFlight to learn more about how you can get access to my podcast, bonus videos, and a bunch of other stuff. And I really appreciate their support. It helps me do what I do. I'll talk to you guys again next time.